Dana White exposes Francis Ngannou as a bad guy. He went on the Andrew Schulz and Akash Singh podcast called Flagrant, where he said that Francis Ngannou physically intimidated him and Hunter Campbell, along with some other things. It was a juicy interview, and we're going to get into some of the details, all right? So if this is your first time seeing my channel, my name is Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so Dana White made an appearance on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schulz, saying that Francis Ngannou, one, was hard to work with. Many people have said that, including PFL, but also that he put his hands on Hunter Campbell and Dana White. We also have some UFC employees saying that Francis intimidated workers at the PI. So this is what Dana White had to say.
He's going in to fight Stipe Miocic in Boston, and he knows he's going to fucking kill Stipe, right? So after the press conference, we're walking down this hallway, and he comes over to me, and he grabs me, and he says, let me tell you what's going to happen. His English is fucking great, okay? No language barrier whatsoever. When this fight's over, you're going to book me a private plane to Paris. And I said, I laughed and said, oh yeah. He goes, I'm not joking. You're going to book me a private plane, Paris. So, okay. So we go our own ways. Stipe Miocic beats the fucking shit out of him. Beats the shit out of him. And he had just fought, and he comes up to my office, and he was pissed off that he didn't get a $50,000 bonus in his last fight, that he didn't get the bonus of the night. And I said, well, Francis, you didn't get it because this, that. And he's in my office, and he's arguing with me. And I'm like, yeah, this guy got this guy got that, and this is why. So the conversation's over. I'm starting to leave, and he grabs me by my shirt.
Fuck.
And like pushes me back in my office. And I said, dude, get your fucking hands off me.
Those were the words that came out of you when Francis Ngannou grabbed you by the shirt?
Yeah. I could see in this guy's face and in his eyes and in the way that he's acting who this guy really fucking is, you know? And, you know, then my guy Hunter they were talking about something. It might even have been the same thing. And when Hunter started to walk away, Francis grabbed him by the fucking back of his collar and fucking pulled him back. Said, we're not done talking yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is a terrible, terrible look for Francis Ngannou, who has kind of shown himself as this good guy, you know, came from humble beginnings in Africa, in Cameroon, you know, came from humble beginnings in this village, working in the sand mines. Everything that Dana White has said, even the issues with the PFL boss, Don Davis, has said, is that Francis Ngannou is, one, incredibly selfish, two, money hungry, and three, really, really hard to work with. None of that leads to successful business relationships here. And I'm not saying Dana White and Hunter Campbell are some great guys. I've made plenty of videos about Dana White saying that he fucks over the fighters, that he's making millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, while fighters have to allegedly accept money, accept bribes to lose on purpose to cover their rent and things like that, while he gambles $1 million hands in blackjack. I'm not using this video by any means to say that Dana White is a good guy. But one thing I am saying is that Francis Ngannou is not a good guy. And he's also very, very complicated, because there's a lot of good things about Francis Ngannou, you know, his journey from Africa, trying to get fighters in the PFL paid more money, trying to get PFL to invest money in Africa. But at the same time, he just seems like a total scam artist, because he got out of his UFC contract. And this is the meme people are using to describe that situation with Dana and Francis.
Grab him with a scruff of the chest and slap that little nose off him, yeah?
Which is fucking hilarious. But UFC employees, ex-UFC employees, have come out and said some other things about Francis that really do not make him look good. This right here says, Ant Evans MMA. I hadn't heard this story before, referring to the Dana White story. I hadn't heard this story before. I believe it 100%. Francis was a terror at the UFC office when I worked there. He'd show up over and over, walk around the offices, standing over people's desks and making staff very uncomfortable. Now, that's just fucking weird and mean. Now, some of it was he was a huge man from a different culture, speaking English as a second or third language, and there is such a thing as being proactive. True, he's trying to be proactive, show face in the office, and get what he wants, but as Ant Evans says right here, there's also bullying. He struck me as a bully. It was 8 or so years ago, so some of the specifics are hazy, but one I witnessed myself was him standing over one of the women who designed UFC key art and wanting changes. Don't misunderstand, nothing like putting his hands on anyone, but he's a big, scary dude, and he had no business standing over people's desks telling them what he wanted. Almost all fighters are their worst selves during fight week, the pressure, the weight cut, etc. Francis was real obnoxious to people just doing their jobs. And that's what I don't appreciate, man. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I like to think that even if people seem like they're giving the half effort or something like that, that they're doing the best they can. Even if it seems like a bullshit effort, that's the best they were capable of in that moment. You know, somebody like him came from nothing, became this big superstar, but many people say really bad things about him. His former coach at MMA Factory, that's Cyril Gane's head coach, named Fernand Lopez, said that he used to give Francis free training, give him a place to stay, and then Francis basically just up and left for Extreme Couture in Vegas without any explanation. It was just because that's what suited him in the moment. Of course, we have Francis Ngannou allegedly killing a woman in a car accident or a motorcycle accident earlier this year. Now, he says that he has supported the family and it was an accident, but at the end of the day, somebody died at the hands of Francis Ngannou, allegedly. And where Francis Ngannou's story starts to become really, really complicated is, of course, he lost his 15-month-old son before his PFL debut. So there's all this back and forth. Wow, Francis has had it really tough. He had to fight his way to get from Africa to France to pursue this combat sports career. He lost a son. He came from nothing. But at the same time, he's a bully and allegedly killed somebody earlier this year on accident. Frankly, finessed the PFL. They gave him a bunch of money. They let him go get 2 big boxing paydays, and then he turns around and doesn't show up to the PFL Africa events, is not fulfilling his contract with them, and it really just seems like he's a bit of a scam artist. Frankly, it seems like he's a scam artist. Quick break. If you're loving this video and you want more from Fight Society, click that join button down below to become a channel member today, where you'll get access to members-only live streams, behind-the-scenes vlogs, and all the unfiltered stuff that we don't post to the main channel. Back to the video. Don't really know where to put my opinion about Francis because I don't necessarily like him. It's a good story for certain parts, you know, the building himself up from nothing, losing his son, still becoming a world champion, all of that. But it just seems like he's a shitty guy that happened to have some very redeeming details about him, like his story to the top, that kind of give him excuses to act a certain way. But when you're sitting there putting your hands on your boss in Dana White or terrorizing and bullying just random office workers at the UFC, you're a fucking douchebag, dude. Some random woman that does graphic design for the UFC, you're getting mad at her about that. It just seems like he's a narcissist with a few details that kind of make him look a little bit better. So let me know your thoughts down below, what you think about Dana White had to say about him, because many, many people say that he's a bad guy. I've had friends that have met him at meet and greets that swear he's a great guy, but everybody else that's actually spent extended time with him says he's incredibly hard to work with and he's a bully. And in that same interview with Andrew Schulz on the Flagrant podcast, Dana White clarifies that Jon Jones will not be on the White House card, which fires me up. I mean, we were supposed to get the Tom Aspinall fight. They scraped together $30 million. They used the Saudis to bring in the money, and he still backed out. Like, we've talked about this on this channel. Fuck Jon Jones, for real. On top of all of the out of the cage stuff that he's had go on as well, failed drug test, domestic violence. I'm glad that this is not being rewarded because it should not be. This is what Dana White had to say.
Jon Jones is even willing to be there.
He's willing to come out of retirement.
Are you saying no to Jones? What's the...
I haven't said yes or no to anybody yet, but I can't put Jon Jones in a position where he can, you know.
Right. You can't let this get canceled.
I had a deal with him. We had a deal to fight Tom Aspinall. He said, you know what, I'm not going to do it.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah. I can't be in that position.
And I totally understand what Dana means by all of this, because what if they scrape together all this money for Jon Jones at the White House, or even let's say they do him versus Alex Pereira as the main event, and 3 weeks before the event, he goes, I don't want to. It's just at this point, Jon Jones's luck has run out. He's run out of ammo. He's run out of chances. He doesn't have any more wishes left with the genie, for lack of a better term, because he's a selfish guy, very similar to Francis Ngannou. And these guys were supposed to fight one day. Very selfish guy, always puts himself first. And I'm not saying that somebody shouldn't put themselves first in business, especially with how underpaid fighters are. But when you consider the fact that big money is on the line and the fact that Dana White has this massive event planned and he loves company men, Jon Jones is the opposite of a company man. And same with Francis Ngannou. That is why these did not work out. That's why Jon Jones is not in the UFC anymore. I know he's technically in the drug testing pool begging to be on the White House. But I think what's going to happen is Dana White says, all right, fine, you want to come back? You got to fight the winner of Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane, and you got to do it on just some pay-per-view. Like not any sort of White House card, massive tentpole event that they talked about for the Paramount deal. It's just got to be putting him in his place. Like, you don't run this company, I run this company. I'm not the biggest fan of Dana White. That's been well documented on this channel. But I am a big fan of him being like, you know what, John? You've been a big pain in my ass. You are not going to get what you want anymore. If you want to come back, it's on my terms. You fight Aspinall or Gane, the winner of that fight, and you fight them where and when I say. And knowing Jon Jones and how selfish he is and how conceited and self-centered he is, if he doesn't get exactly what he wants, he's not going to come back. And so I don't think he will come back because, well, let's say Jon Jones goes, okay, fine, I'll fight the Ciryl Gane, Tom Aspinall winner, but I want that $30 million that we talked about for the Aspinall fight. I could see Dana being like, yeah, sorry, that offer's gone. Yesterday's price is not today's price. So Francis Ngannou, nightmare of a business partner, it seems like. Nightmare hairline right there, you see too. No hate, it's just funny. But nightmare of a business partner. Same with Jon Jones. And this is what happens. There's a give and a take. I'm not glazing the UFC. I'm not glazing Dana White, but they are the ones that make these decisions. You have to meet them in the middle. You have to show up when you say you're going to show up. If you say you're going to fight somebody, you got to fight them. Honestly, a little bit of dubs for Dana White here because Francis, bad guy. From what it seems like, Dana's a bad guy too by all measurements, but Jon Jones, terrible guy, and they're all bad business partners. They just shouldn't be doing business with each other. I think Jon Jones's career is over, and I don't really know about Francis Ngannou. I know he has one fight left on his PFL deal. He got offered to fill in and fight Jake Paul, and he said that he was insulted by it. I'll make a different video about the Jake Paul-Joshua fight, but I don't know what these guys expect. They're just such bad businessmen. You can't like spit in your boss's face and then go, give me a raise. You can't go, now give me some money. It doesn't work that way. So as much as you don't like somebody, you can't do it like that. So let me know your thoughts down below. What are your thoughts on Francis Ngannou literally putting his hands on his boss? Bro, you'd get arrested for that in any other business. If Dana White wasn't as based as he is, you'd get arrested. And then Jon Jones, just get him out of the sport. We don't need him anymore. Hopefully they can do McGregor versus Chandler, or they can do Makhachev Topuria at the White House, but it just can't be Jon Jones. So let me know your thoughts down below. Really annoying stuff out of these guys. Such divas. It's like, man, just take the $30 million paycheck and fight. And you quit being a dick to your boss if you want him to do nice things for you. You don't boss your boss around, essentially. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you want more from Fight Society? Like and subscribe below this video. And click the join button to become a channel member today to get access to behind the scenes vlogs and members only live streams.